Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. More Hail Caesar coverage here as we keep working our way towards the end of the available lists and time periods. We're keeping kind of that rough 12th century, but here we're moving out to the 14th century, possibly with a Japanese list, right? So kind of leaving the classical old world behind in that sense. We've had some of the Asian lists before, so here's a great one for that kind of time period, and as it mentions, maybe as an opponent for the Mongols, which would be pretty cool. So, pretty simple list here. We'll get through it. It won't be a long video, but we have to have Bushi cavalry has to be at least 25% of the army. So pretty simple rule to follow there. And then we have some weird stuff going on though, right? Follower subunits, one or more per Bushi cavalry. So each Bushi cavalry unit must have at least one subunit of followers. So we'll take a look and see what that means. The divisions must contain at least 4 units led by a commander. Sohei, where present, must be their own divisions, containing only Sohei war bands of untrained monks. So let's see what this Japanese list is all about. We do have also some really cool special rules throughout. So we start out with our first base unit. That's the one we're going to have the most of. Bushi heavy cavalry armed with bows. We get the awesome, basically, heavy cavalry stat line, 4-up save, and fantastic at range, right? 3 and 3 for 32 points. So the literal core of your army is a just fantastic unit, just because. We have several upgrade paths, right? Something to keep in mind, but we also got to deal with all the subunit stuff. But for one more point, we add tough fighters to the mix, and there's no restriction on that, right? So the whole force could be just nothing but tough fighters. We want to spend some more points. We could also go with stubborn, and we could have all these upgrades basically. We could also then add marksman, right? For another point. It's getting progressively more expensive, but imagine just a whole list of marksman heavy cavalry that is throwing three dice every turn, right? Ridiculous. And then we could also, though, if we wanted to, take a nice little discount and have these guys as small units, right? So a combination of regular size and small units is going to be pretty nasty for this, right? The upgrades in total cost us 5 points, but if we want to run it as a small unit, then we're actually netting still a 4-point discount. Fantastic stuff. So 28 points for a small unit. Does seem expensive for a small unit, but it's, an insanely top tier small unit. All right, moving on. Now, a subunit of the Bushi Heavy Cavalry is mixed unit of medium infantry followers with naginata and bows, fielded as a subunit of Bushi. So, and then reduction to field the follower subunit as a small unit, right? So basically, pretty average stat line there. 4, 2, and 2 for 4 and 2 for the clash. 4 clash sustained. Range, not much, but it's still contributing a little bit more, right? And still counting as medium, so don't discount that. And then what we wouldn't necessarily expect for the Japanese, but they works in with the rules and the history too. But they have a Pavis option actually as well, which is pretty bonkers. So +1 point, well worth taking for the added defense. So that's all just like the regular core of the list, but we also have Sohei, which are the monks, and let's see what they bring to the table, right? If it was nothing else but this is still a fantastic list, and it's pretty simple. You got cavalry and infantry. Basically one choice apiece. But anyway, Sohei medium infantry with naginatas. So nothing really on long range for them, but we could include bows. They start at 23 points, so we go up to 25 if we want the bows. So literally this entire Japanese list could shoot. We do get tough fighters again if we want to bring that in for another point, stubborn, and then the Pavis as well. So interesting stuff there. So again, and there's no other restrictions on aside from like what has to happen with like the unit subunit kind of thing, and then the separate divisions. So like you could have a whole army of just decked out like special rules wise units that are going to be pretty damn punchy, pretty kick-ass all the way across the board for all those different points levels. And really it's ultimately not that bad as far as the points go, just maybe slightly fewer units than the opponent, but again, each of your units is going to be superlative, and really with all the ranged firepower that this list has, you're just going to shoot an ungodly amount and really start to put just serious damage on enemy units. They should really, before contact is made in hand-to-hand, all the enemy list really should have multiple points of damage. Last but not least, though, we got untrained monks, conscripts, or mobs fighting as light infantry warbands. Still a respectable 5 on Clash. 6 up save, of course. They're not going to really be decked out in any kind of serious armor. No special rules for these guys. But also just a nice cheap 20 points. So if we need to fill in some stuff just to represent having like some conscript type of units, we can just get a couple of cheap blocks of these guys, and they'll be fighting as a warband, and then still rounded out by a commander with leadership 8. So all good stuff here. This is just a fantastic list. Awesome one to collect as well. So I know for like Pike and Shot, obviously like Warlord has like those Japanese models for that period. Probably could get away with making those models work for this too, but just this would be a fun force to fight against contemporary things like the Mongol and Chinese lists that we've seen so far. But even just testing this out against some of the European lists, like this, I think just kind of wipes the floor with a lot of the other stuff that's out there. Of course, barring smart orders, good dice rolls, average dice rolls, and stuff like that. But this is just like an elite list, as befitting of the samurai. So let us know, guys, what you think of this Japanese list for 12th to 14th century. Have you run it against any contemporaries? What do you think overall of the selections here? And be sure to hit us up in the comments, like and subscribe, and we'll have more Hail Caesar for you soon.